credibility and help those who suffered for them. In the next battle, Elfman has to fight a really strong opponent named Bacchus, who uses a form of martial arts that mixes deadly hand movements with his drunken fury. Elfman is clearly outclassed in the beginning and can't keep up with Bacchus' speed, but he comes up with an idea to compete: all-out defense. At that point, it becomes a battle of wills to
all-out defense.
Yes.
All-out defense.
Yes, so he just went, I'm going to make a big armor monster, and you're going to punch me, and one of us is going to fall.
At that point,
and then Elfman wins.
It's a battle of wills to see who will give out first from either getting hits inflicted or being damaged by throwing those hits at an immovable shield. And at the end, it looks like Bacchus won by standing up, but he almost just as soon falls down and admits defeat to Elfman, giving Fairy Tail their first major win. This fight is awesome and nerve-wracking.
No, it's not.
No, it's not, dude. You are a liar.
Because you're just going to hit me until one of us falls. I don't know how strong this dude is.
Now, it's different. I'm sorry to cut you off. It's different for someone like Senior Pink and Frankie, where it's just like, we're going to suplex each other over and over. Oh, that's all you got? Let's go.
Oh, that's fantastic. But here is like, I don't know the strength or the defense of that lizard thing that you've got. You just told me that it's great defense. And I don't know how strong this dude is because this is his first fight. So there's no reason why I should assume that any one of them is any stronger than any other thing.
Elfman is out of the tournament from just how much of a beating he got, and I loved it. Elfman hasn't gotten
Pause. You've got poorly Yusuka and Wendy there to heal.
And I'm sure there's medical doctors or whatever, nurses using magic to heal these people.
This is a magic tournament with at least 5, 6, 7 teams of people with 5, 6, 7 teams worth of magic. So you're going to need some medical personnel.
Moments to shine since Phantom Lord, and I live for these character moments. During this fight,
character moment.
He went, I'm gonna keep getting hit. I'm gonna keep getting hit till you lose.
Yeah.
Lucy and Wendy were both in the infirmary and taken by some random hired hands. We don't know who sent them, but Natsu was able to take them down pretty easy. The next fight is a literal swimsuit competition, and it is amazing. The entire thing goes so out of hand over time to the point every wizard joins in, and if there was one mangaka who could literally make a swimsuit contest an actual plot-relevant moment, it's our man, Hero.
How is it relevant to the plot?
It is not a plot-relevant moment. Anything could have happened in place of this. It's not like this is important to Mary Jane, or I believe her name is Jenny's character.
Yeah, I believe
it is correct. Something that happens. Fairy Tail gets the points, and it is never brought up again. This is absolutely not plot relevant. This is Hiro Mashima going, I want to draw boobs, and he drew boobs.
And now everybody's in. Everybody.
Why?
Why? If this was a one-on-one thing, why is everybody else out here?
Why do you all have swimsuits prepared? Are we magically changing out of the swimsuits, or are they all going back to changing rooms for 5 minutes in order to change to swimsuits and wedding dresses and dominatrix outfits and things of that nature?
And anybody can make a plot-relevant thing out of a swimsuit contest.
But this is one of those things where it's clearly we're not supposed to think about these things. It is boobs and butts, and you are supposed to clap because Fairy Tail got to shame a member of Blue Pegasus, and then they got points, and then you got to see boobs and butts, and hooray.
Moment, it's our man Hero. Anyway, Mira Jane wins against her opponent by doing the one thing she couldn't handle, actual fighting. Raventail.
But that wasn't the contest anymore. They both agreed to a swimsuit contest.
Shut up.
So why are they fighting now?
Shut up.
Gotcha.
Handle actual fighting. Raventail and Lamia still have a fight.
Could she do the exact same transformation thing that Mary Jane does?
You mean Lizana?
No, her. That chick.
Oh yeah.
And by doing the one thing she
it looks similar.
Whatever.
Couldn't handle actual fighting. Raventail and Lamia Scale have a fight, not important. The last fight of the day comes between us.
Well, I thought you said you were going to go over everything.
Yeah, he did. It's not important.
celestial spirit mage of Sabretooth named Yukino and the leader of Mermaid Heel, Kagura. Before the battle begins, though, Yukino has a little wager for Kagura. Nothing too serious, just their lives, you know, give it up to the person who wins. Pretty typical friendly gambling. Yukino has all the other celestial spirits.
Why? This has never been Yukino's character. She's never been like a serious character like this. That wager never really factors into the plot. Why?
Who wins. Pretty typical friendly gambling. Yukino has all the other celestial spirits that Lucy doesn't, and even a 13th key, but Kagura slices up all her spirits without even...
A 13th key?
Oh, you forgot that?
What?
You forgot
really?
That? You forgot that?
But it was never shown again.
Why would it be?
But if it's a 13th secret super key...
You would think there were more super secret keys out there.
You would think, or she would be like, look, Lucy, I'm a bum, here you go. Or if she's not a bum and this is a super secret special spirit, you would think it'd be like, oh, she's top tier spirit mage. And we're going to see her a lot more and she's going to use this a lot more. But it gets beaten by not even unsheathing her sword. So why introduce something that's just like, this is out of the realm of the number system that we set up. It's not like one of those lesser spirits like Plu or the clock or the little flute chick. Not a flute, a harp chick. This is a special branded key such that
Zodiacs.
It was put importance not only by the show, but by just stop by saying it. And it never showed up again?
What's your problem?
Man, Fairy Tale, no!
13th key, but Kagura slices up all her spirits without even unsheathing her sword. Kagura spares Yukino's life, but her master is not happy. At Sabretooth's guild meeting the night after the event, the master makes Yukino strip down in front of the entire guild to lose her dignity, then forces her to remove the Sabretooth symbol and leave forever, giving some insight into what Sabretooth is like as a guild. They aren't connected as a family that works together willingly like Fairy Tale. If you can't be 100% great all of the time, Giemma doesn't see you as fit to be a member. Sabretooth's entire aura gives off more of a totalitarian dictatorship than anything resembling an actual guild. Elsewhere during the night...
Pause. What other examples of guilds do we have? We got Fairy Tale, we got Blue Pegasus.
We got Wendy's fake one.
That doesn't count. We got Lamian Scale, I guess.
Grimoire Hearts, I guess. Even though it's like a dark guild.
It was very much a dark guild. Why can't it just be like, I'm here to do some jobs? I don't consider y'all no family. Y'all just got a board that I want to get some money from.
It comes face to face.
Pause. Would people really consider Mystigan a member of their family if they've never spoken? They don't know what he looks like?
He got the tattoo, don't he? Got the stamp.
I'd be like,
dictatorship than anything resembling an actual guild. Elsewhere during the night, Urza comes face to face with Miliana, her friend from the Tower of Heaven, who's joined Mermaid Heel on a quest to try and kill Jellal. Kagura is also on a mission to get revenge, and the reason she won't draw her sword is because it's bound to not open until she's able to fight him. Back at the inn Fairy Tale's staying at, Yukino goes there to give up her keys to Lucy, but she doesn't accept them since she knows Yukino loves her spirits just like Lucy, and it would be wrong to take them.
Pause. You don't know that. You've seen her fight once.
There are 2 keys there.
There are 2 keys there. Why was she just like, yo, I'm keeping a special one, though. you ain't getting this one. This for mine.
Just like Lucy, and it would be wrong to take them. After hearing about her departure and why, Natsu goes into full rage mode and storms Sabretooth. If that wasn't cool enough, he runs right up to the Master and challenges him to a fight. The only thing that stops it from going full-blown is Minerva, the daughter of Giemma, stepping in and holding Happy hostage to get Natsu to back off. Natsu imparts some wisdom about how a guild should be a place that treats its members like family, and we move on to the next day. The first event is a strategy game. The way it works is you draw lots, and whoever goes first picks a number of monsters to fight. It could be a weak monster or the strongest there is, but you need to fight and win to get points for your team. You can take on as many monsters as you want, but planning your moves is really important.
Now
When
pause.
Urza steps...
This is a very good moment. This is a great moment. Makes me love Urza. She does not have a sword in her hand, so that's even more points. And I really like the subversion of them going, here are all the rules. And you know the participants because it's Kana's there and a bunch of other ones, whatever, who cares. But it's just like, but you go, I understand this, and they've explained it all, and Urza's like, I'm taking all 100 of them motherfuckers. Now, sadly, in the manga, it was only like 2 pages.
Yeah, it was so short.
It was super short. And the anime was like half a episode. But yeah, this was a great moment of Urza just going, I could win by taking 51, but that ain't what I'm doing.
Absolute victory,
dominance.
This is really important. When Urza steps up first, it looks like this could take a while, but she finds a way to simplify it to break the game entirely, to take on all the monsters at once. It's
simple, my right to challenge 100 of them.
The metaphorical balls to try and attempt. After she absolutely destroys the tower and everything in it, the other members have to do a simple strength test to determine their rankings. Kana goes last for Fairy Tail B and uses Fairy Glitter because Mavis gave...
Oh, that was a contest too. I thought it was to determine like lots.
No, that was just after Urza won, they were just like, look, we gotta find a way to get y'all some points, so we're just gonna do this thing.
Fairy Tail B and uses Fairy Glitter because Mavis gave it to her to help her win. It's a funny moment that makes sense with Mavis's childish
Why did she get it?
Why did she get it? Why indeed? Here you go.
Why did she just imparting it to everybody?
Yes. If you could
After
just
that,
give it
you
away.
already know what's coming up. Battles! Miliana beats a Quattro Cerberus guy first, then Loxus has to face a member of Raventail called Alexi. On the surface, it seems like a perfectly bland matchup, but underneath an illusion, the two haven't moved at all. Loxus is ready to take him on for real, but before he does, Alexi reveals himself to be Ivan, Loxus' father, whom, to clarify, isn't supposed to be allowed to fight as the guild's master, but he isn't alone either. The entirety of Raventail accompanies Ivan as he asks Loxus about Lumen Histoire, Fairy Tail's secret...
There are people that can sense magic. This is a known thing. In the last arc, it's all over the place. Oh my goodness, this person's magic is off the charts. I've never felt anything like this. Blah, 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 blah. Surely somebody's like, hey yo, there's 6 people in that ring right now. Why is there 6 people in that ring? But nobody shows that. That illusion is so perfect, they don't see any kind of dust. They don't feel any kind of wind. Nothing. Just so this can happen. Just so Loxus can take out these 5 for free.
Our Fairy Tail's secret weapon that only guild masters know about. Loxus is given the opportunity to win in Ivan's illusion if he gives up the info, but Loxus doesn't know about it at all, or care for that matter. All he wants to do is fight all of Raventail by himself. Loxus easily dispatches all the members before Ivan, and he tries to play the old blood ties card, but Loxus isn't having any of that, because Fairy Tail is his family, and anyone that wants to destroy it is his enemy.
Is he his own enemy?
You freed him, Big Slow.
Once the illusion vanishes and all the members of Raventail are left lying there with the crowd in utter shock, Loxus walks off and acts like it was nothing. My god, what a legend.
He's so cool.
He's so cool. He beated them all up.
And then walked away like him not even tried.
He beat up 5 separate people, all with 5 separate unique powers, including his dad. He beated them all up. They're the #1 guild in Fiore right now. And he beat up their 5 most powerful members while he was being ambushed and basically not knowing what they could do. He's so cool.
So cool.
We don't need to talk about what happened or the fact that he's way too overpowered, even without his second origin. It's just the fact that he did it, and we are clapping now.
All the beating down and pain and suffering Raventail put through Fairy Tail to try and hurt their bonds and make them give up. Loxus wails on them all with ease and doesn't even claim the kill because he knows he doesn't
Nobody saw that lightning. It's lightning.
He knows he doesn't have to. These are the kind of moments I love to see in this arc. They're some of the most iconic in the series, and the moments don't...
Hey, could you rewind? I didn't hear what he said, that I word. My headphones kind of disconnected for a second.
Tartarus Arc.
Oh,
so I got into this conversation with somebody recently. Iconic only means anything that relates to an icon.
Mm-hmm.
So anything that has an icon within it, anything they do is technically iconic.
Yeah, like Loxus.
So this means
is
nothing.
iconic. This
if
is
Fairy
iconic.
Tale is an icon of a series,
It is.
then anything within it is iconic.
It is.
If someone takes a in it, that is an iconic.
Yes, it is.
So shut the up
No,
with
it's
that
fine.
word.
It's fine. There's also iconic scales, so things could be more iconic than other things. So if everything's iconic, but then it's just like, okay, we can separate them into tiers.
No, you can't.
Yeah, you can.
It's the dictionary definition.
No. Okay, let's do it like this. Mankind falling off the cage and Hulk Hogan and Andre the Giant staring up to each other. What's the better moment?
Better or more iconic?
What's the better moment?
Mankind to me.
Oh, that sounds like it's more iconic.
Nope.
Yes, it is.
No, it's not.
Oh, okay. What's more iconic, yeah?
Neither one.
Oh, yes, it is.
They're equally iconic
Oh, no,
because they're
not.
both
That's
iconic.
not how we do this. That's not how we're doing
There's no
this.
scale to
There
iconicism.
absolutely is. There absolutely is. You're just too afraid to say it because it breaks down your argument.
No,
You're
I'm-
a coward.
Stop there.
You do it legit. You've made me hate the word iconic.
Really?
Yes.
Is it because you keep hearing it everywhere?
Yes.
And
Yes.
it's
just so meaningless.
a non-descriptor at this point. It's just
Yeah.
like, this is such an iconic series. What do you
People, oh my goodness, the iconic Daryl from Walking Dead. It's like, what? Come on, shut up.
Iconic in the series, and the moments don't stop there. Spoiler alert. After Loxus helps disqualify Raventail by exposing them, Wendy is ready to take on a member of Lamia Scales, Shelia.
Love this fight.
That was a
Here,
great
like April
fight.
on Monroe Island,
Love
was
this
a
fight.
fire-
Love her
The
outfit.
little girl
Great.
here is a wind god slayer, and absolutely insane when it comes to power level. In their ensuing fight, Wendy gathers all her magic into a brand new spell she's been working on, and seemingly knocks out...
And then she had one of my favorite lines in the series. It's in a dub. I don't know what they say in the Japanese or the manga or whatever. And Shelly is just like, you gotta just stay down or I'm gonna beat this out of you. And she goes, you're gonna have to beat me until I can't move anymore. That's the only way you can win. Can you do that? And I was like, oh my goodness!
she's been working on, and seemingly knocks out Shelia until she gets back up with her wounds healed. Unlike Wendy, who can heal other people and replenish their magic power, Shelia can heal both herself and other people's wounds. Shelia
Why?
offers Wendy to surrender
Hold on.
since
Hey, that's the moment. Why? Is it a God thing? Is it that Wendy's so inexperienced? Is it just a special type of healing magic or what? Why can she do this and Wendy can't? This would be very convenient if Wendy could. She'd be a nonstop just healing tank. But she needs this one restriction when we see that restriction can be lifted. Why can she do this?
it's obvious she's at a disadvantage, but Wendy stays strong and doesn't give up for the sanctity of her guildmates that fought just as hard as her. Shelia, in response, fires off her strongest attack, but Wendy previously used her magic to up Shelia's own strength, so she overdoes the spell and misses her. With neither
Great moment.
any magic
Great.
left, they resort to a fist fight.
She heals her and just like, oh, your trajectory was off because you had too much magic. That's a great moment.
Having any magic left, they resort to a fist fight.
And then they
Round,
tie.
giving us the only true draw in the tournament, and a satisfying one at that.
Great.
After that fight, Jellal's almost caught by the custody enforcement unit, and both Miliana and Kagura see him. This leads them to understand that Fairy Tail is sheltering him for some reason that they can't understand, having not been there for the whole Orachion Arc debacle. Following this, you're never gonna believe this, the next day comes, and Lucy goes into the next event. Out of all the events, this is probably the most simple. Try and knock your opponent out of the water. When it comes to the last...
It's more simple than a one-on-one fight.
Yes. Yes, it is.
Okay.
It most certainly is.
Time to explain everything that goes into this.
Here comes some more reasonings and explanations.
It's more simple than a race and get past this finish line.
Yes.
Try and knock your...
It's more simple than punch this machine for the number.
Yes.
It's more simple. Well, I guess it is more simple than fight these monsters and breaking. And if you lose, you go to the back of the line. And
the water. When it comes to the last two, they both need to stay in 5 minutes, or the person who would be second comes to last. After a good bit of fighting, it comes down to Lucy and Minerva, and this is the first time we get to...
You are not explaining the fact that Juvia was in the match and should have been dominant. You are not
a god, literal
just
god.
done. I control water, you're done. You're not explaining
I am water.
You can't... Wait. You're not explaining the fact that Lucy summoned Aquarius, and then Aquarius did one thing, it's just like, don't summon me again. I got a date that I'm a week late for. And that
candle is probably burnt out by now.
That penis is soft. But yeah, and it's just like, well, there goes her trump card. There goes Juvia for some reason just eliminated.
Minerva, and this is the first time we get to see Minerva's true ruthlessness. As the timer begins, Minerva starts by taking Lucy's keys so she can't fight back. After that, she dishes out gravity attacks, heat-based attacks, and every other kind of hit you can implore, but she doesn't let Lucy go out of the ring. She keeps beating and beating on her until eventually the umpire calls it, and Minerva hangs Lucy out to dry like a large prize caught after a day of hunting. Lucy had tried to stay in for Fairy Tail while taking Minerva's hits, so she allowed Lucy to get second place only to show she controls the matches. And Lucy isn't anywhere near her level of skill. This isn't even the worst thing she does in this arc. With this one act, she becomes the other main focus besides Sting and Rogue for Fairy Tail.
And Lucy never gets any kind of revenge. This is the last
real redemption
match that Lucy is in. Everybody else, and they set up
Elfman.
The very first match was Grey going, wow. This memory dude is a piece of and I want to punch him. And then he punched him. He from the first to the last day, he got his revenge. Lucy lost twice. Once was because of her magic being replenished after a child murderer. And then it was this. And she never got any big moments to shine in the tournament. Dragon Festival, dragons coming out, closing the gates, whatever. But in the eyes of this tournament, she is El Bum Magnifico.
Takedown for pretty clear reasons. The rest of Sabretooth also gets some hate points for staring and laughing at this while it happens. With Lucy out, Fairy Tail is forced to combine teams to make up for the members they've lost, so Makara picks a super team of Urza, Natsu, Gajeel, Grey, and Loxus to represent the guild moving forward. Ichia has a battle with Quattro Cerberus, not important. Nietzsche from Edalus is back as part of Blue
Pause. It is very important.
It's important to you.
Ichia is fantastic.
It's important to you.
Ichia is fantastic. And there's also the fact that he is fighting somebody that Elfman could not defeat, even with all of his beast forms and things like that. So a giant tiger beast man could not defeat this drunken dude. And as well as another partner who I don't know what he can do. Nietzsche, the cat, was taken off in one punch, so he was not a factor. Ichia sniffs some of his parfum and punches somebody, and punches both of them once, and they are both defeated. So now we are saying that Ichia, with his parfum boost, is stronger than various many beasts that Elfman tried to punch.
That's about
Ichia is very powerful.
No,
Let's not forget. Let's not forget this.
Urza
constantly just like, look, he's a gremlin, confirmed. But he's a pretty powerful gremlin.
Part of Blue Pegasus, that's about it. The real main event here is Sabretooth's twin dragons versus Natsu and Gajeel. If Mashima...
Why is it a 2-on-2 battle now?
Because it is.
How to do one thing for fights, it's building hype. These guys have trashed on Fairy Tail since they got into the arena. Sting and Rogue believe...
Pause. This is not hype at all.
No.
Because
Blackbeard Pirates versus the Straw Hats is going to be hype.
Yeah, absolutely. This is not hype because, like I say, we don't know what either one of these people can do. Natsu got his second origin, so he has got to be even more strong. Urza has her second origin, so we have to assume that he's at least Urza tier, and Urza is amazing. Gajeel was off training by himself, so we don't know if he has any more moves or anything like that because this is the first time that we're seeing him in a physical contest. This fight means nothing because we don't know the abilities and strengths of any of the combatants.
generation Dragon Slayers, that being Dragon Slayers who've had dragon lacrimas put
Hey,
into
there
them
you go.
and
You
were raised
mentioned
by
it.
dragons, they're superior in every way. Natsu and Gajiel are just remnants of an older...
But pause. He just moves on because he can't explain it because the show don't explain it.
Are just remnants of an older, weaker generation that doesn't deserve to be considered the strongest. They insult Fairy Tail, kidnapped Happy, basically tortured Lucy, and now they want to prove they're the best by taking down their old role models. In the beginning...
Pause. They want to prove they're the best by winning this competition where you fight people? I should hope so. It doesn't matter if they're like, oh, we need to prove that we're the best. You gotta fight them anyway.
By taking down their old role models. In the beginning of the fight, Natsu and Gajiel appear to be on top of things, but Sting and Rogue have one major trick up their sleeves. They can activate a powerful skill called Dragon Force at will. After that, Fairy Tail gets their asses handed to them to the point Sabretooth destroys the arena to take them down. It looks like the twin dragons have won when Natsu and Gajiel get back up, like they did
like
feel
it's nothing.
They only took the hits by Sting and Rogue to learn all their moves and how to adequately counter them, but Natsu doesn't want to just fight them with Gajiel by his side. Instead, he knocks Gajiel into an old minecart and proceeds to challenge both of them by himself. Sting and Rogue try to double team him with a unison attack, but Natsu
with a unison raid,
finally getting them to realize they weren't the strongest.
And then Natsu beats a unison raid
alone
by
third generation Dragon Slayers
while they're in Dragon Force. What hype? How strong? Pump fist. This is trash.
Them with a unison attack, but Natsu counters it and makes them fall, finally getting them to realize
wonder is he gonna
they
mention
weren't
the studio
by a long
switch.
shot and had no reason to be as cocky as they were. With this victory, for the first time in the arc, Fairy Tail moves to the top spot in the games. This is only the middle of the arc, but a major change to the show comes after this event. The animation style completely changes due to a new studio producing the show. What I mean by this is throughout the entire lifespan of Fairy Tail, it's been produced by A1 Pictures, but in the beginning they got help from Satellite, and now they're getting it from Bridge. My point is, after the change, most people, whether Fairy Tail haters or fans, agreed that the changes weren't quite exactly great. The colors have become more dulled, fight scenes usually aren't quite as fluid, and it took a year in real life for this to take place, so anime fans who didn't read the manga were left in suspense for quite some time. I didn't personally experience that, but it must have been annoying. On the positive side, the art style is updated to make the characters look much more like their manga counterparts. Before, they looked kind of similar to the original wacky art style, but it wasn't a fully faithful transition. I mean, can you imagine if Happy first...
Why would he not put up a manga panel comparing the same?
Maybe he will.
Maybe he will. If he doesn't, I'm going to continue that sentence.
You do that right from that point.
I mean, can you imagine if Happy first looked like this in the anime? This period, on the other hand, has designs that match the characters from the manga and is less afraid to show off some of the more violent aspects of Fairy Tail that the previous wasn't able to show. The first portion had brighter colors to match the lighter tone, but the action suffered from censorship. I don't mind the darker colors too much, since the main arcs this version covers, the latter half of Magic Games, Sun Village, and Tartarus, are much more serious arcs that fit with the bleaker color palette. As a whole,
yeah, let's change the colors because we're going into some dark shit.
Yeah, boy, he's got to be dull. That's the Zack Snyder approach. But anyway, it would be better if he would have just compared a manga shot from like the chapter before it happened and then the chapter after with the shots from the show to correspond. Just to be like, look how different this is. Just like a full-on face shot of Natsu. Just like there's no wide shots or anything. Just like a pure... This is how the faces are different. Because his eyes get a lot sharper. And I'm like, he looks very villainous.
Are much more serious arcs that fit with the bleaker color palette. As a whole, I don't mind it too much, but I do slightly prefer the earlier animation. Going forward with the story, Gajiel finally stops his Seven Dwarfs minecart ride to find a graveyard of dragons underneath the stadium that he plans to tell the others about. Jim of Sabretooth is once again really pissed and ready to bash heads at the twin dragons losing, and he demands they remove their guild marks. Lecter, Sting's Exceed friend, tries to get Giamma to reconsider, but he's appalled at seeing a cat bearing the guild's emblem at all and promptly obliterates him. This instinct...
Why is this an issue just now?
I guess he didn't take notice of him before.
So he was fine with them having pets and attachment when he has a guild centered around strength.
Well, maybe he didn't see it as an attachment, more so just pets. Just like,
okay, but
I'm dragging you around wherever I would go, and you do what I want.
that's a lot of assumptions.
Yeah, bruh, so many.
Into a blind rage that he uses to punch a hole right through Giemma. Minerva explains that Lecter
Murdering
wasn't
him.
killed, but rather she saved him and sent him to another place. For Sting to get him back, however, he needs to win the sports festival and claim Sabretooth as the game's victor. Back
Why
to
are you using
Gajiel
the
and Fairy
opening?
Tail, he leads them back to the Dragon Graveyard,
It's a
and
hype
Wendy
moment
uses a
in the
spell to
opening.
speak to one of the deceased about what
Sure.
happened to them in the past to end up where they are.
Pause. Never been showcased before. Never been hinted that she could do this. Very convenient that she can. What does that have to do with wind? If it doesn't have anything to do with wind, I guess she's just learning spells outside of her element. And why can't other people do that?
400 years ago, dragons and humans lived in a common predator-prey scenario, but one dragon sympathized with the humans and wanted to make peace rather than war with them. He got others to follow his ideology, but dragons like the one summoned opposed it, leading to war. Humans were taught Dragon Slayer magic, originally to fight for the dragons that wanted peace with humans, but eventually those same humans turned on the dragons and hunted them to near extinction. One wizard rose above them all as the most gruesome Dragon Slayer among them. He killed so many he himself became a dragon and used that power to become a king of sorts. His name was Agnologia.
How do you kill a lot of dragons and become a dragon?
It wasn't that. It was I believe it's something like with the implanting of the dragon abilities, you also get a dragon seed inside of you, and that seed will grow as you fight more, and to the point where one day you will turn into a dragon.
Oh yeah, you're correct. 'Cause
Grandina
they
and
were all
everybody
scared.
put
Yep.
yeah, they put themselves into them to stop that from happening, and they did.
Power to become a king of sorts. His name was Agnologia, the same dragon that nearly destroyed Tenro Island all that time back. With that explained, the dragons disappear, and the group is confronted by a captain of the Royal Guard named Arcadios with Yukino accompanying him. He explains that Zeref helped in the creation of Agnologia, and therefore the first step in stopping him would be killing Zeref before Agnologia comes to be. He further explains that Yukino is with him as a now sergeant of the military to help his plan of opening the Eclipse Gate with the help of celestial spirit mages. Back when kidnappers tried to take Lucy, it was actually under Arcadios' order to do so. The games themselves are only used as a way to collect energy for an Eclipse Gate's activation. To get the Eclipse Gate to work and go back specifically 400...
Question. Why wouldn't you have a bunch of healing magic there to keep the strongest people in the game?
What do you mean it's a way to gather magic? Is this like a Majin Buu situation where as you expunge magic, it goes into the air and then goes for some reason
Wait, I
into
thought
the
magic
gate?
was all around them.
It most certainly is, but maybe it's like specific magic. And if that's the case, why wouldn't they just have somebody sitting in front of the gate just holding out a hand with fire in it, expunging their magic, and then switch people out?
years, all 12 Zodiac keys are needed, and the door has to be activated on the 7th of July. Coincidentally, this is also the same day the dragons all disappeared that raised Gajiel, Natsu, and Wendy. Arcadios' main...
It's very convenient that Lucy has 10 of the 12 that's needed. It's not one mother on the other side of the world just got Capricorn. No, she has all 10 of them. And then, hey, here is this other spirit mage that has the other 2. And it's very willing to give them up to do the gate thing. It's not like Angel, where she had 2 or 3 of them, and she's just like, I'm a piece of you spirits. She is very willing and helpful. Boy, this is convenient for this to happen.
plan is to go back 400 years to use it for the purpose of killing Zeref before he becomes immortal and the first ever emo, thus making Agnologia cease to exist by connection. Arcadios doesn't get to enact his plan though, because the entire group is surrounded by the Royal Guard. A man named Dalton doesn't want Arcadios to go through with the plan, so he has him and Yukino jailed for treason, and Lucy is taken along with them. The others are kicked out with the promise that if they win the game, they can have an audience with the king and ask for Lucy's freedom. The next day, day, Fairy Tail already has a plan set for what to do. In the final game of the tournament, that being an all-out brawl with 5 members from each guild fighting around the city for points, Natsu is switched out for Juvia, while he, Mira, Carla, Happy, Lily, and Wendy all go off on a rescue mission for Lucy and Yukino. As the tournament begins, Fairy Tail just sort of stands there, not doing anything, while other guilds are fighting and gaining points. Mavis explains the reason for this is because she's been observing the opposing guilds and came up with a strategy for complete victory, and with a command, everyone goes off to fight. The first one of the day comes between a Sabretooth member named Rufus and Gray. Rufus is in a library memorizing powerful spells to help aid in his arsenal, that being because his magic is memory make magic, meaning he can recreate any kind of magic or object directly from his own memory. Gray struggles at first, but is able to overcome his magic by using an ice make spell that creates too much too quickly for him to memorize.
Technically, it's just one spell, though.
Yes, it most certainly is. And also, he has shown the ability to shoot fire. Why did he not shoot fire? Is there any ability? Is there no ability that can be like, here's an ice shield that can stop this? He just stands there and takes it. This is terrible. He can do anything that he memorized. Are you telling me that he doesn't have? He didn't even try anything.
Didn't even try.
Here's my own ice to counter. No, that didn't work. Oh, I'm dead. Here's some fire that counters. Oh my goodness. It's too cold. It's not even melting. I'm dead. He just stood there.
In a fluster, he goes back to using regular attacks, and in a moment of being open, Gray finishes him off with an ice sword attack. Going to the escape plan, the group
Pause. I remember that moment. That wasn't the end of the fight. What we were talking about, how he just got hit by all those attacks. He gets hit by all those attacks, and then he stands up like, oh boy, that sure did hurt. And he hits him with fire, and Gray's like, boy, good thing I know hotter fire than this. And then he hits him, and then he wins.
off with an ice sword attack. Going to the escape plan, the group finds and frees Yukino and Lucy, but the floor opens up and puts them in a place called the Abyss Palace. Basically, it's where criminals and thieves go to rot. And that's what
you hear that alarm? Pause.
Of.
You hear that alarm? That's the alarm of 6 or 7 of the baddest mother you done ever seen that's coming. Auga. We almost got away from it, but we back, baby. Why did this need to happen? These fights were like 2 episodes. They were never mentioned again. Auga. Oh my goodness.
Criminals and thieves go to rot, and that's what the Princess Hisui accuses them of doing, but she doesn't seem content about putting them there. The group tries to find a way out, but after finding a beaten-up Arcadios, they're confronted by the real reason no one makes it out, a group of executioners that work from the shadows for the kingdom, known simply as the Hungry Wolf Knights. Now, to be fair, most of these guys look like total weirdos that aren't threatening in the least, but they're anime villains, so those two aspects kind of go hand in hand together, with them being split up into 2 groups.
No, you can't just... Why would you even bring up that they look like a bunch of bums? Go back a little bit. Let me go see them. Okay, those 2 chicks they look fine. They're not weird. The big dude, he's big and muscular. There's nothing wrong there. The dumb flag dude, I hate him. He's terrible. And you got edgy mask man back there. No, they're pretty threatening except for Homeboy.
Those that aren't threatening in the least, but they're anime villains, so those 2 aspects kind of go hand in hand together. With them being split up into 2 groups, Natsu, Lucy, Wendy, and Mira have to face 4 members, while unable to summon any celestial spirits, Yukino, Lucy, Carla, Happy, and Arcadios face off with this Joker, who apparently leaves nothing but the bones of his victims behind. Yep, he looks like the type, probably eats children on the way to work so he doesn't get hungry, you know, the normal stuff. In their battle, Arcadios almost fries his legs off saving the girls from a lava pit, but Horologium saves him, and Loki opens his gate.
Pause. He should not have legs anymore. No. We saw him walking through lava. Don't do this like it's fine. This is terrible. Look at this.
Nah, that's fine.
The girls from a lava pit, but Horologium saves him, and Loki opens his gate to hand Lucy and Yukino their keys back. Arcadios doesn't seem to be fazed by the lava as most regular people would, so Lucy and Yukino beat Fisherman Guy with some good old teamwork. Oh wait, Arcadios was fine because he had some jade amulet that works like a talisman and protects him. I don't know, seems legit. With the other Wolf Knights, Panther Lily has to fight this guy who uses acid and finds a way to cut through it right to him. Wendy fights this
I'm just gonna hit you.
Chicken overcomes her. Mira uses her strongest demon form to eat the poison cast on her by this girl who uses paper in different ways, and Natsu takes
Pause. Well, that's very convenient that I can also eat poison.
Wouldn't it make sense if she ate all that black mist stuff then?
Boy, it sure would. Anybody else who would have fought Poison Chick, they'd be dead, but Mary Jane? No.
This guy who uses scythes pretty easily. After they're all taken care of, Natsu and Co. find a strange person in a cloak that opened up the door for them, and it's also explained Hisui was in on the Eclipse project and Arcadios just took the fall for her. She explains that she needs to use the Eclipse's secondary feature as a cannon to protect the kingdom, as she was informed by a person from the future. Hisui isn't
I'm sorry,
certain if the events will
secondary
take place.
feature? Is this the first time that we're hearing about this?
Yeah.
Do we really need secret double princess plans when it's already this convoluted? You got the opening of the gate and you still got a tournament going on. There's too much. Now you got like, oh, we don't actually want it open. We want the cannon. Come on now.
Hisui isn't certain if the events will take place, but if one team makes an unexpected victory in the games like this person from the future says, Hisui will consider their words as the truth. She isn't the one in the cloak though, instead it's Lucy? Well, to be more specific, it's a version of Lucy from the future who used the Eclipse Gate to come back and warn everyone about dragons showing up out of nowhere and killing everyone. That's a pretty tall order to believe, but right now we've got something more important to take care of. The most hyped fight in this arc other than the twin dragons versus Natsu and Gajeel. Urza versus Minerva versus Kagura. Dear Lord, what a pairing up. You've got Urza with a grudge against Minerva for what she did to Lucy. Minerva being shown to be a powerful wizard that wants to defeat them both and show how powerful Sabretooth is. And Kagura, who's secretly been holding a grudge against Urza for harboring Jellal. What kind of fight?
As far as Kaguya goes, we've seen that she's strong, but we've only seen her fight against the 13th key, and we don't know how strong that is, but we're just told that she's very strong. And also she has the trump card of unsheathing her sword, which we also don't know how strong that is. Urza has unlimited armors, which can do almost anything. You got lightning blocking armor, fire blocking armor, super defense, flight, lasers, whatever, who cares. Minerva, what have we seen Minerva do? We saw her beat up Lucy,
and we saw her stop Natsu from attacking the guild master.
We've not seen anything that tells me that she should be on Urza's level. How is this hype?
Could take place here. Well, it seems the three are all mostly evenly matched.
How?
How? Why?
They can inflict damage on each other at steady rates, but none seem to be better than the other. With Minerva fearful of what might happen, she decides to bring out a hostage she took earlier in the fighting, Miliana. With their friend in danger, Kagura and Urza are forced to fight each other, and the one remaining will take on Minerva. Well, forced is a strong word. Kagura definitely wants to fight Urza, but Urza doesn't really want to fight Kagura, so it's more like giving that nudge to send them right over the edge. Speaking of Kagura and Urza clashing over Jellal, he goes over to Meldy and Ultir about future Lucy's prediction, and gets them to help evacuate the citizens after the games. Back to the battle, Kagura is cutting through all of Urza's armor, and tells Urza the reason she wants to kill Jellal is because she's actually Simon's sister and heard about how he died from Miliana. Remember that guy who sacrificed himself for Urza back at the Tower of Heaven? Yeah, that's the guy. Urza reasons with Kagura that if it's anyone's fault he's dead, it's hers, but that she won't die because it would dishonor his sacrifice. In a fit of rage, Kagura unsheathes her blade and charges at Urza, but she ends up losing the fight, right before a boulder—
Pause.
But she was on Urza's level, huh?
She unsheathes her sword to strike down Urza, and Urza has enough time to change her armor, get up, draw her sword, and then beat Kaguya. No strategy, no planning, nothing. I'm just going to draw, not even a friendship, I gotta do this raw thing. I'm just gonna get up and I'm gonna beat you.
Goes over Kagura, Urza saves her, just then remembering their connection. Back at the old village Simon and Urza lived in, when the raids happened, Urza gave Kagura a hiding spot.
Of course she did.
Of course that's what happened.
Of course that's what happened.
Why wouldn't it? Of course.
Of course this is the exact sequence that happened. Of course she's fighting her in the finals. Of course this is coming out now. Of course Kaguya believes her.
Of course she just remembers this.
Of course all of these things happen.
Driving the cultists away to charge after her, leading to
everything's connected.
Everything is a big old circle. 1 degree of separation.
His eventual capture. With that in mind, Kagura takes it all in and is ready to surrender her victory and points to Urza, but that's not going to work for Minerva. Guess. Why don't you just guess what this absolute piece of fucking human garbage does. She comes out of nowhere and stabs Kagura with her defenses down, claiming the win for herself and ready to do the same to Urza, who got a broken leg and is already beaten up. And you know what? That isn't enough to hate this character. After Kagura mentions Miliana while bleeding on the ground, Minerva returns her with heavy wounds all over her body. The reason? She was bored and wanted to have some fun during her wait. Okay, holy fuck, somebody destroy her right now. And that's...
And then in the arc that's the year after the...
And then he fell out the closet and started puking and...
But the arc after the time skip, she just comes up like, I'm sorry, Urza. And she's like, cool. No, was it even Urza? Yeah, it was Urza. And she's just forgiven. Just for free. No problem. Because this is fairy tale. No matter what you do, you cool. She's not taken over. She's not possessed by any sort of demon. We don't know her backstory or anything.
Given time, is there any person in fairy tale that remained a evil piece of
Given time?
That showed back up anytime, yes. Given time, they remained an evil piece of
I do not believe so.
Because, the final arc, there's no time to...
Yeah. None of them were set up or anything. Zeref? No, he ended off pretty good.
Yeah, he got a whole redemption at the end with Mavis.
Even Acnologia got a sad backstory of my family were all killed by dragons, and I hate dragons, and I became dragon, so I hate myself. Okay, cool. But yeah, she's just evil, and she is just forgiven. Oh, look, she's in an eating contest. Isn't that cute? She's a torturer.
Guess what? Akka is still a pretty bad guy.
Yeah. Look at him pruning his bonsai tree. I don't care. No.
He punched Ace. He destroyed a marine.
And He melted his own soldier. And he's begging like, I got a family, and that's Whitebeard. He's like, all right, get melted, homie. How about some of this?
And then he was about to do the same in Kobe.
This war is dumb. All these people are dying. We got better stuff to do.
Ace is dead. We've already won. You stopping me, yo?
Oh, you begging for the fist.
Why you making me do this? Let pieces... Oh, Cruella and all this other crap and Maleficent. Like, let pieces of crap be pieces of crap.
Have some fun during her wait. Okay, holy fuck, somebody destroy her right now. And that's exactly what Ursa intends to do. This whole game,
Pause. And this is when Ursa just like, oh, here comes my Nakagami armor. It is an armor that negates all magic. And I've never used it up until this point, and I'm only going to use it once or twice more, but this is my ultimate armor. Yes, I've got a broken leg. That doesn't matter. I'm just going to use this, and I'm going to slash you once with no strategy, and I'm going to win. Because this is fairy tale.
And this is Urza.
Actually never been using her second origin to fight. All the accomplishments she'd already achieved were just basic Urza before the intense unlocking of more power. With her second origin, she uses a brand new armor set called Nakagami Starlight, an armor that costs tons of magic power, but it allows the user to bend the laws of magic itself. And using a rally of strikes, she takes down Minerva in a rather satisfying, if not...
This is the power system that we have. It is magic. And this is my armor. It allows me to break the laws of magic. How very good. This is very interesting. Why would you just introduce this for free? And then in the audience, they're just like, the Nakagami armor, that hasn't been used in centuries. But Urza's just using it. We didn't know she had it. We know it exists, but apparently it's just been in Urza's closet. And she just uses it. And she just wins in a single strike.
Pretty satisfying.
Because of course she does.
Using a rally of strikes, she takes down Minerva in a rather satisfying, if not short way. During my research...
How's that satisfying? Here's my new armor that negates magic that you've never seen before and there's been no lead up to. And I defeat the biggest, baddest person that you all hate with a single strike in 14 seconds. I'm satisfied. I'm happy about the way this ended.
This is the exact way that I thought this was going to go.
General thoughts on Fairy Tail and why they liked or disliked parts of it, I found a few popular videos talking about hating the chapter this battle comes from, chapter 322. In the case of Fairy Tail, I've never read the manga, but the events played out in a similar fashion to the anime. Personally, I didn't mind this fight at all. The hype was there, and the want for Urza to take down
Hey, it's hype, so why are everybody mad at it? Get hype, yo!
How could you not? It's basic storytelling. They are introducing a thing out of nowhere that breaks the entire magic system for free and just saying it takes up a bunch of magic. And that's all. And she just uses it and she wins. How do you not have a problem with this?
Inside me, and bringing the second origin back into the story was something I found clever since it wasn't mentioned much after they actually unlocked them.
No, pause. They said that the second origin, you can either have it always activated or you can unleash it for a big boost. Mm-hmm. All this time, Lucy has only been able to summon one celestial spirit at a time, and also she'll be like, oh man, 2 or 3, that tires me out. And in this arc, she has been shown to summon 2 at a time, so you can assume that she is always using her second origin. Natsu beating 2 Dragon Slayers for free, Unison Raid, Dragon Force, blah blah blah,
and him and Gajil surviving that blast.
Yes, they are using it as well. This, to my knowledge, is the only time that somebody says second origin unlock. Why was it never done before?
And it's not brought up in a clever way.
It's not. She just yells it. And why, if all these times, why did she not do this against the Tree Man? Did she forget? Did Mashima just not establish this yet? Because she had all of her magic. Why didn't she do this against the chick that can cut anything? Hey, guess what? You can't cut the Nakagami armor because that negates your magic. Did she forget that she had this, or did Mashima not establish this? This is not clever whatsoever.
And you're talking about, I hated Minerva, so this was a satisfying conclusion. Okay, you're letting your emotions play into how unsatisfying this actually is, because any way that Minerva was defeated in a quote-unquote hype moment would have been satisfying to you because you got something hype that defeated the person you hated.
So there's no losing as long as something big happens. And you even go, yeah, it was kind of short, but it was still satisfying.
This fight at all. The hype was there, and the want for Urza to take down Minerva was boiling inside me, and bringing the second origin back into the story was something I found clever since it wasn't mentioned much after they actually unlocked them. I do think the fight was a bit short, as are most of the others I'm about to describe, but I still do very much enjoy seeing Urza overcome Minerva in a way that does make sense. For the other battles...
Pause. And I wonder, does he see why people are upset?
Okay, can I stop you right there, though? How does it make sense when she just busts out an armor you've never seen that breaks the laws of magic?
It makes enough sense, It's
the second origin itself makes sense, but a armor we have yet to see that breaks the laws of magic.
Mm-hmm. What's not making sense about this? We have seen Urza use armors, correct?
Yes.
We have seen Urza. We know that Urza has her second origin.
Yep.
We know that she has a bunch of different armors.
Correct.
They established the Nakagami armor. Mm-hmm. Why can't she use it? It's very satisfying that she just goes, whatever you do, I can negate it. And now I'm going to hit you once, and then you lose. Hey, why didn't you teleport away until her magic goes away? Does it negate only magic that's coming towards her, or is it like a 50-foot radius around me, all magic is negated? Because she could have just teleported away if this is the legendary Nakagami armor, and it's really bad. I wish you would have just been like, here is some arguments, and I'm going to debunk them or whatever. Because you can't just be like, this is satisfying that she just busts this armor that negates everything out of nowhere. You simply can't.
goes against Jura and Orga, a lightning god slayer. Jura uses a fake-out strategy to take down Orga, and Loxus barely defeats Jura in a hand-to-hand magical battle. Juvia and Gray at the same time as this...
So you're just not going to mention that he beats one of the 10 Wizard Saints? You're just not going to mention that one of the 10 Wizard Saints beats a God Slayer, when in the previous arc we have established that God Slayers are at least of comparable strength to a Dragon Slayer? So what is this scaling?
In a hand-to-hand magical battle. Juvia and Gray at the same time as this are battling Shelley and Leon. What is...
Pause. This is the second unison raid that Juvia performs.
Raw.
It was stated that it takes monks almost all of their lives to do this, and this is the second one that she does. One with a person that she knows for maybe a month, tibbity tops.
Undoing the Lamia scale pair is their inability to fight as a team, giving Gray and Juvia a chance to do a similar move to Rogue and Sting's combination attack and knock them down. Finally, among the fights is Gagiel's battle against Rogue one-on-one. Gagiel actually has a heart-to-heart with Rogue about why he's doing this, and that while he might think he doesn't really have any friends he can rely on in the guild, he'll always have his Exceed companion Frosh. It looks like Rogue will give up the victory to Gagiel, but at that moment, Rogue's taken over by a being claiming to be his shadow and attacks Gagiel. In that moment, he decides to pull a Natsu and eats Rogue's shadows to become a Shadow Iron Dragon Slayer. With that boost, he beats Rogue and gets the shadow out of him, but the battle isn't over yet. Other than Frosh having a cute moment where he tries to protect Rogue when he's down and Gagiel promising not to hurt him, Sting hasn't moved the entire game.
Pause. So you're just fine with what happens. His shadow comes and powers him up, and then Gagiel eats a shadow and becomes a powerful form, and then he punches him, and then he is defeated. You're fine with this?
Yes, why wouldn't he be?
What is bad in Fairy Tail to him?
The times he says stuff is bad. He's like, yeah, it's kinda.
Cause he's
I understand that it's a little.
He's just either excusing everything or yada yadaing it.
His big strategy for taking down Fairy Tail and winning the tournament was to lie in wait for everyone else to be defeated so he could swoop in and take the kill against already tattered and beaten Fairy Tail members. All of them struggle to carry each other to the center point of town where Sting's waiting, and they stand there ready to battle. Sting is about to come at them when suddenly he drops to his feet and he begins to cry. Then he hands his victory over to Fairy Tail, stating he can't beat them even though if he breathes too hard he could take him down. This is the real moment everyone was steamed about when it came to chapter 322. The reviewers saw it as a major cop-out. The Sting should have won.
It's not great, but it's like they're together and we suck, and I'm about to kill them just to get my friend back, and that's not really worth losing myself to. So I quit.
But then, let me turn my head and there's your cat. Here it is right here. Hey, free.
Free!
That's far too bullshitty to be taken seriously. And yeah, from the basic way I described it, you could get that impression. But personally, I don't mind the scene.
But you keep saying you don't mind things. We're talking quality. Fairy Tail is trash.
Not.
Well, I didn't mind it.
Could just be my own personal interpretation.
Oh my goodness.
Did you use personal twice within like 4 seconds?
I don't mind the scene. It could just be my own personal interpretation from what happened, but the way I saw it, Sting was ready to attack the guild members when he noticed they were all standing together in solidarity as a team despite their injuries. Unlike people like Sting, who were willing to give up so fast in events like the moving chariot race, Fairy Tail's members all took the punches and through their agony got back up to join in one last battle. Fairy Tail as a guild had a plan from the beginning that relied on everyone working together in unison to make it happen, and Sting just stood by as people he didn't really care about all went
Pause. Not necessarily, because I mean, Gray just went off to fight Magic Memory Man. There was a bunch of one-on-one fights. It wasn't unison, and also they had the might of a guild master that's called like the greatest strategist of all time. That's not fair.
Separate ways to deal with the problem on their own, and in the end they all failed. Sure, Sting has made it through without a scratch on him, and therefore held an unfair advantage when it comes down to the final moments, but in that underhanded way, he felt like he wouldn't have earned a victory for his guild or even himself. He wants to get Lecter back, but all he would be doing here is taking down his idols that he revered for so long to fill his own ego, whereas Fairy Tail had the reason of helping their long-gone friends escape the torment they suffered for so long, like Natsu told him. In this moment, it all hit him, and he understood he didn't deserve to win. And by extension, he knew his own pride wouldn't allow him to try and win, so he gives it up to Fairy Tail. I don't see...
Pause. Now you see all that. He went on for like a minute. What did he say about the Urza thing? It's cool and she deserved it. You see the big difference? That's something that's just like, all right, we can excuse this. Here's exactly my interpretation. As opposed to just magic armor that beats her. And you go, yeah, pretty cool though, wasn't it?
So he gives it up to Fairy Tail. I don't see it as a moment of him being a terrible character or the worst in Fairy Tail history. I see it as a moment for the character.
That's very hyperbolic.
But people have said that.
I don't believe they've said that.
I am 100 million percent
sure. I'm sure that they've said that, but you know, it not
YouTube
enough
is
to
nothing if not hyperbolic.
But not enough to. It's something like the Urza moment that just happened. I'd say that's way worse than this.
I'd agree.
Himself down from his ego that accumulated over years of praise. I
This
could
shouldn't
just be
be
looking
3
too far
hours.
into it, like I said before, but that's how I interpreted
2
the
arcs.
scene, and in the end, I'm happy Fairy Tail was able to achieve the goal they set out to do. Meanwhile, in the Royal Castle, the rescue squad's fighting off tons of different wacky characters when they asset clip into the floor, or more specifically, a shadow engulfs all of them from another time-traveling character in the form of future Rogue, with an even more emo haircut than current Rogue. He lets in on the fact that the Eclipse was built with the help of a celestial wizard
Making
and
fun of
Zeref that
emos
cost
is
tons of
funny.
magic power to
I
open.
believe so.
It's also the source of magic Crime Sorcier had been sensing for years. He came back not only to warn the others about this, but to stop someone from closing the gate, leading to 90% of people dying to the dragons, like in future Lucy's timeline. He reveals it to be Lucy herself and tries to kill her, but future Lucy takes the hit and dies from the injuries. In the grand scheme of things, it shouldn't be too sad since future Lucy doesn't have as much effect on the plot, but seeing a version of her sitting there in agony, wishing to go on more adventures before dying, is still kind of gut-wrenching. What's even more bittersweet is after she dies, she finds all her friends from the timeline where everyone died and follows them off to the afterlife. Natsu, being his usual brand of piss, tries to fight future Rogue but is almost engulfed by a shadow, only being saved by Ultir at the last second. The gang goes to talk to Princess Hisui, but she says she's already about to open the canon, as said by her source, who is a man. That's when it dawns on Natsu and the others that future Rogue was the one who informed the princess about the Eclipse being able to act as a canon and not future Lucy. The Eclipse can only really open a gate to the past, and when opened to 400 years ago, that's where the dragons as predicted come from. Lucy and Yukino are also the two who close the gate by using all the Zodiac keys to press it closed, leaving 7 dragons left over that Rogue plans to use to take over the world as the new Dragon King. He originally was hoping for all 10,000 to help destroy Acnologia and rule, but with his own form of dragon taming magic, he
secret
thinks
art?
it'll be enough and
Dragon taming magic. How very convenient.
That's kind of convenient.
I believe this is never brought up again.
Okay, what entails manipulating a dragon? Because if it's just... Because he said he was going to control 10,000 of them. So how could he just not control Acnologia himself?
That's a good question. Hey, this is one of those things where it's just like, okay, we're here now. Create, manipulate, and destroy dragons. What? Create?
Okay.
No.
Okay.
Hang on. That's not the Fairy Tail wiki. That's the Power System wiki. So that might just be. It might not even have a Wikipedia page. Dragon Supremacy magic. Okay, cool. It is 1 paragraph. Dragon Supremacy magic allows the user to dominate the will of a dragon, effectively making them their subordinate. Remarkable feat given, blah, blah, blah. However, a dragon with a strong enough conviction can overcome the effects of the magic. There you go.
Based on what?
Also, if there's a large number of dragons present, the user will have difficulty maintaining their control over them? 10,000?
rule, but with his own form of dragon taming magic, he thinks it'll be enough and starts terrorizing the capital city. Lucky they have some true dragon slayers in Sting and Rogue, but oh wait, no they aren't. Their dragons forced them to kill them because they thought it would help the two grow up stronger. There are still plenty of wizards and 6 dragon slayers, but with 7 dragons, they need 1 more to balance it. At that moment, Doranbolt and Lahar release Serpent from the Irration Stace to help out. Thus begins the battle against the dragons in a twist that no one really could have seen coming. Natsu starts the battle by getting some help.
That's not a twist. That's a character coming up out of nowhere.
Okay, maybe he means the twist is all the dragons coming out. Let's hear the whole sentence again.
To help out. Thus begins the battle against the dragons in a twist that no one really could have seen coming.
Yeah, the battle against the dragons.
Okay, sure, I guess.
Natsu starts the battle by getting some help from one of the dragons that's like subservient to Igneal, and during that fight, the dragon...
Hey, I know Igneal. How very convenient that I'm the one that's fighting you. Especially since you're a fire dragon itself, and I tried to eat you in there. I just started yelling about Igneal, and I was like, that's my daddy. And I'm like, okay, cool, now we cool now.
Boy, of the 7 dragons that came, it sure is convenient that one of them was a subordinate of Igneal.
And constantly on fire so that Natsu can try to eat him, and they can talk.
Boy, that's pretty convenient.
That is really convenient.
A bunch of smaller dragonish things that the rest of the wizards have to fight. Everyone, including Natsu, starts getting into bad situation after bad situation until, this. No, I did not edit that or anything. Gray straight up gets lasered right through the...
Okay. Did he do that as a moment of silence, or was there originally music there?
I think that one of those things where it's like, we're gonna cut the music out to be impactful.
Many other places. That isn't all either. Lucy dies when she takes a wrong turn. Gajiel dies when he predicts the wrong movement. Sting and Rogue die. Bacchus dies. Makao and Wakaba. Jet and Troy. Loxus. Just everyone. For the most part, all of Fairy Tail and crew are dead, and you might think, okay, Fairy Tail, you got me. Where's the fake out? This is a dream, right? An illusion? You can't trick me. No, you fool. Listen, they're dead. Dead. Ultir has a solution to try and save her.
It's definitely a fake out, but it's not an illusion.
No, it's not an illusion, but it's definitely a no. We're gonna fix this. It's gonna be a way to fix this, and we're gonna do it, and they do it, and then everything turns out 100% hunky dory.
But they did actually die there. What Ultir proposes is using a spell that rewinds time, but at the cost of the time of its user. She hopes it'll be enough to try.
Pause. I'm going to flash back to this moment where I was just like, here's this time rewinding magic, and then I'm going to use said time rewinding magic that we just established. This is not storytelling.
I'm sorry. Is a story going on? Is it being told? Then, by definition, I gotta disagree with you, sir.
But set up and pay off. The backbone of stories.
Did they not just set up that there is such thing as time manipulation magic, and it is not going to be paid off not 4 seconds later? So I don't see the problem here.
Everyone a few hours back before the dragons, at least, but she looks at the clock and finds it only sent time back a minute. To her,
what's the intro? The best intro from this arc? Break something.
Miny, moto, miny. Oh, the one that you like.
Yeah.
Strike Back.
Strike Back. The minute hand in the opening, just going back and forth with the time and the beat, and it makes sense because she goes back a minute. It's so good.
I guess.
It's so, that opening is so fire from beginning to end.
Fine.
Flames.
Pretty good.
It's so good.
All right.
she went through all that pain and gave up her life energy, but failed her guildmates, Fairy Tail, the entire world, really. But that 1 minute turned out to be just enough time for people to save themselves.
Boy, it sure is convenient that everybody died within the same 60 seconds.
The exact 60 seconds everybody met their end.
Boy, that is some convenience, huh?
Isn't it? It's not like they were all circled up in a row and then all got lasered by a dragon at the exact same time. They were all in separate places, taking wrong turns, just getting sliced in that 60-second interval. How very convenient.
And boy, it sure is convenient that they remembered all that too.
Just to avoid it.
Boy, what convenience.
Boy, this is storytelling. This is what we're here for.
From death. In those many split-second decisions that killed them before, the wizards were able to remember and correct themselves to not be harmed and rather succeed. In the chaos, Lucy...
Pause. And up until the moment that the dragons are put back into the hole, none of them are killed again. They all, even though they only have that 60 seconds of remembrance, they all avoid the dragons and they are all safe completely.
Or succeed. In the chaos, Lucy comes up with the idea of destroying the gate so future Rogue and the dragons couldn't be there, and at around that time, Natsu helps headbutt a dragon into the Eclipse, sending the dragons and future Rogue away. Future Rogue says it's inevitable that he'll become this way after Frosh is killed a year from now, and Natsu swears to not let that happen. In the celebratory banquet proceeding, Fairy Tail...
I love his ponytail. You better show Natsu. You show Natsu, you coward!
Interesting as the new guildmaster, Kagura and Urza have a good talk. There's a moment hinting at Gale, the only ship that truly matters. Natsu acts like he's the king, and
you piece of No, there's still time.
And the night ends with everyone dressing up in pumpkin hats and doing a dumb dance.
Look at him! He looks so good in a suit! I don't know what it is! I don't know if it's just his normal, casual attire and then he just gets dressed up. I don't know if it's the pink hair contrasting with the black and the white, but he looks amazing in a suit. Legitimately. I don't think there's a single anime character that looks better than this mother in a suit, in my opinion. He looks so good. I don't know what it is, but Suit Natsu is cash money.
Was he DLC?
I don't know. He wasn't. I would have came out the pockets for that.
Dance. Did I fucking stutter? It's a pretty charming night overall. The next day, everyone is ready to go. Dornbolt erased the memories of the Magic Council so they don't know about the Eclipse and possibly revolt against the kingdom.
Sure.
Meldy and Jellal get a final message from Ultir in a letter, and as they're driving away from the kingdom, Gray looks out to see an old woman looking at the sun longingly. He knows that it's Ultir, having lost her many years, but for once, she's smiling knowing that she's accounted for her crimes and feels free at long last. Fairy Tail is constantly berated for not killing off too many characters, but in moments like Simon giving his life or Ultir giving up much of hers, it leaves a major impact on you that you remember for how meaningful the sacrifice was.
Pause. Okay, Simon giving up his life. Who cares?
Who is that guy?
Who is that? He was introduced in that arc and it was just like, I am important to you, Urza, and he dies and is whatever. Here, yes, she gives up her time, but then what happens? Later, she comes back and just I was trapped in time, and I'm helping you defeat this time guy that you guys have no way of defeating with this all new magic. And what are we talking about? Are we forgetting about Makarov coming back to life 150 times? Come on now, don't just give these two examples and just pwn noobs.
You got a mountain of other shit. It's just
he's just
but these two.
Look at here. Look at these stakes. Aren't you sad for her? No, not necessarily. Especially with the third origin. It's like, you will lose your magic abilities forever. And then the last chapter, it's like, oh, she's getting her magic back. That's a problem.
Free.
That's what we're talking about. Free. That's what we're talking about with these problems of Fairy Tail.
The word of the day is free.
That's what Fairy Tail is.
They blank free.
Meaningful the sacrifice was. I'm not saying there aren't some infuriating instances of the old bait and switch, as I'll talk about in the final arc, but this moment right here is really hard-hitting with a character that's been intertwined with the story for so long. This arc in general was full of devastating moments of sadness, high feelings of triumph, and badassery from different members of the main cast, including some we don't get to see as often. People don't like Raventail too much since they're mostly constrained to a nuisance that tackles over Fairy Tail and keeps them from getting points, but I liked that bit about them because it gave such an awesome moment for Loxus to
pause. So whatever happens, as long as this end thing happens, it's fine. They're a bunch of useless, nothing characters that all get steamrolled by Loxus, so it's fine. They were built up for several arcs, including Loxus's daddy. And they were steamrolled. And it's fine.
I liked that bit about them because it gave such an awesome moment for Loxus to take down his own father and that guild that was giving Fairy Tail so much trouble. Elfman's Battle of Endurance was amazing.
What else did he do in that entire arc? Nothing. You said that he was knocked out.
You keep punching me, and one of us is gonna lose. He's basically Homer Simpson.
Was amazing. Urza breaking the game, Gray outdoing Rufus, Natsu.
No! Come on now.
That was weak sauce.
We don't... How many... Legitimately... I can do anything that I've memorized. I've been in this library memorizing spells, including spells that I've learned throughout my entire life and spells that I've seen in this tournament. I'm going to make a bunch of swords and spears and stuff. What? Stab. Here's some fire. Oh, I've faced hotter fire. And then you just get sliced because you put up 0 defenses.
Natsu taking down the twin dragons.
No, sir. No, very much so. What in the history? Okay, either we don't know how strong they are, so we don't know how weak they are, so this means nothing, or we do know how strong they are, but Natsu is so much very stronger that it's so ridiculous that this is even a contest. Or even any stakes. So which is it?
It's gotta be one of them.
Either we know their strength and Natsu is just that much stronger, or we do not know how strong they are, so we don't know how weak they are.
Is one of them, and either one is just broken. Because it's not good storytelling.
On the twin dragons and challenging the master, Urza finally slashing Minerva down.
You're counting that as a positive?
Yeah, she finally did it. Finally,
her arc-long rival.
That is redeemed very much soon.
Here we go. Not Lucy. This is her first fight, and she finally is struck down. Ding dong, the witch is dead, and Urza did it with her magical armor.
Minerva down, Ultir's redemption, future Lucy's sacrifice, and dare I say it, Sting forfeiting to Fairy Tail. So many iconic moments happen.
Now, I will agree with them here. There were so many iconic moments. Not even a lot. There are so many of them. Do we need to rewind them so we can say the iconic moments?
So, an iconic moment of Fairy Tail was Lucy beating Minerva. That was an iconic moment.
Urza beating Minerva.
Yeah. The other way around.
Yeah, you don't think so?
What were the other moments he talked about? Oh, Elfman was an iconic.
You don't think so?
Does he ever?
He got the first win for Fairy Tail.
Is there even any? He didn't even mention Wendy.
He did not. Yeah, I can't keep this character up. This dude. What are you doing? The Nakagami armor.
Loxus.
You're naming this crap. And not that fantastic Wendy moment.
It's just like all those Part 5 people that refused to mention Beach Boy. And we had to give a whole point to Eye Patch Wolf because he went, look how amazing this is.
And this is just one of those things where he's just like, I'm just going to say all this stuff. You may not like this arc, but I'm going to say all these good points and say that they are iconic and maybe change your mind. And not mention any of the bad parts. Because, yes, this is a very contentious arc. But look at all these iconic moments.
But here's the thing. He's talking about all these iconic moments, but he's talking about the Grand Magic games themselves and barely anything that comes after with them dragons.
Indeed. He said, Ultir's sacrifice.
Yes, that was it. Not all the dragon slayers, like, we couldn't beat a single dragon.
Not one.
And dare I say it, Sting forfeiting.
Okay, pause. He said these are iconic moments within Fairy Tail.
No, he just said they're iconic moments.
Listen.
Fairy Tail. So many iconic moments happen.
I said within fairy tale.
Because I was about to be like, okay, what are the iconic moments within fairy tale?
No. I said within fairy tale.
You
to just give it a little bit of leeway.
Dang. I was trying.
Before I say it, Sting forfeiting to Fairy Tail. So many iconic moments happened in this arc, and I find it a great bit of fun, lost, and action.
Pause. And I love how he did not mention how they turned their head and went, "Here's your cat." When Minerva is darn near knocked out and disappointed at her loss. Come on.
In this arc, and I find it a great bit of fun, loss, and action. This arc really does show the guild as the main character rather than
Natsu, Lucy. That's the main characters. Who did this focus on? Lucy, Natsu. Who took down the big dragon? Who punched him into the gate? One of the other ones, Cobra? No. Natsu did it. Because no matter what all the rest of those people do before the big bad is Natsu's prey. So yes, Urza beats Minerva, so she got a big main character fairy tale moment. Sure, and Maven directed everybody and got a main character fairy tale moment, but at the end of the day, the main character stepped forward and did what he do.
As always.
As always. Free!
I'm so sick of this fairy tale as the main character. Because it's just like, hey, look at Romeo over there doing nothing.
The Straw Hats do so much more than the Fairy Tale Guild, but we know who the main character is.
Nobody's plan. Nobody.
Black Bulls do so much more than the Fairy Tale Guild, but we know who the main character is.
Team Urameshi.
They do so much more, but we know who the main character is. His name is not even in the title, but we know who it is.
It's to make it sound more important.
Look how much Sasuke did, but we know who the main character is.
This is ridiculous.
What are we doing? Fairy Tail is not the main character.
Sue and Lucy.
Unbelievable! Because they all did something.
Yes.
They are also too the main character and not the dude that gets the big punch and the chick that the whole arc centered around. Not those two like it always is. But everybody, because everybody did, because Gray beat somebody, so Elspeth got Big Lizard Man, the main character.
And then he did nothing else.
And then he died in a hospital bed for all we know. And then went back in that 1 minute and came back alive for all we know.
18 members of Fairy Tail just going, yeah, go Urza for 20, 30 episodes.
What are we doing here?
It's one of those things where it's just like, you say this enough times and somebody's going to believe me. It's wrapped up in all of these touchy-feely moments, and then you hear that, and that also sticks in your brain with all the touchy-feely moments. And you go, oh, maybe, because your mind is softened. You're weakened by the emotions.
This arc really does show the guild as the main character rather than just Natsu and Lucy. I won't say this arc is perfect, that's what Tartarus is for, but
You think Tartarus is a perfect arc?
I would say we are getting to Tartarus, but it's been 3 hours. I expected this to go 2.5 tops.
And what's funny is, there was an arc in between the two, and we just listened for like 6 minutes.
Man.
Among tournament arcs, this is probably in my top 3.
Just stop! No!
Is he gonna name the other tournament arcs?
Let's hear it.
Because he named the other Fairy Tail arcs.
He did.
Isn't in my top 3 anywhere is the...
Nope. Okay. He is not.
Okay. The Grand Magic Games is legitimately the worst tournament arc I have ever encountered.
Absolutely.
I have seen tournament arcs from Yu-Gi-Oh!, from Naruto,
DBZ,
from Yu Yu Hakusho, from iShield 21, Hajime no Ippo, Slam Dunk, Prince of Tennis,
Black Clover,
Naruto. Did I say Naruto already?
probably, but whatever.
I'll take that out then.
Samurai 8.
Samurai 8 saw there. At least the system was interesting, even though it was trash. It was fast. That was the problem. Yeah, I've seen like
Flame of Recca.
I've seen legit probably like 13 to 14 tournament arcs.
Probably more if you count the 4 or 5 that's in DBZ.
Or the 1 or 2 that's in Ippo, the 2 or 3, or the 2 and 3 in iShield 21.
There's like legit 6 between Dragon Ball to Super. So yeah, this is the worst.
This is by far the worst tournament arc I have ever seen.
Because at least all those other ones have a structure. And this is so structureless that it's so loosey-goosey. It's whatever Mashima wants via the audience or the coordinators or whatever.
And you know why the Jiren tournament of Super is the second worst I've ever seen? It's because they say the structure. No outside item. No, wear them earrings. No, bring the Mafuba. Because it's cool. Something cool might happen.
No flying. Oh, they zip-zapping around.
Because they just say, no, the structure because something cool might happen. On top of the widely shoehorned in, we need everybody to get their moment when Goku and Vegeta alone should be able to take out 97% of them bums.
We've seen Goku flex his arm and air pressure knocks back Berter and Jace. Why did he not do that to clear out some riffraff out the gate? So this is
and
the
this is
worst.
By far the worst tournament arc I have seen in my life.
And it's not just the non-structure; it's just the
Jujutsu Kaisen had a tournament arc, enjoyable.
It's also just the nonsensical fights, the just whatever of the Nakagami armor and the memory make.
Kenichi, probably top 3 or 4 arc I've ever seen as far as tournaments. Not a good manga, but what a fantastic tournament arc.
There's so many good tournament arcs.
The problem is you probably ain't seen too many. So you looking at this you love and Fairy Tail and going, my God, look at how great this is. Top 3 tournament arc. Can you name 5 you've seen? Because Fairy Tales is by far the worst.
And it will never be contested. I do not care. This is terrible.
Among tournament arcs, this is probably in my top 3. What isn't in my top 3 anywhere is the filler arc that comes after this. I get it, you needed a bit of time to slow down from the melodrama of the Magic Games, but damn did you have to make it so boring. Plus the manga canon arc following this one is meant to do just that, and it's much more interesting. The arc I'm referring to is called the Eclipse Celestial Spirits arc. It's about the Celestial Spirits being put out of whack from the Eclipse project, and the guild needing to fight them to change them back to normal. On paper it sounds okay, but in action it's not worthy of your time. Other than the horrendous Daphne arc, this is the only true larger filler arc in Fairy Tail. I like some of the designs of the Eclipse Celestial Spirits, but you know what I don't like? A full episode about Gray fucking ice skating against a really gay lobster man. Okay, to be fair, that moment was actually kind of humorous, but otherwise, fuck this arc. I know. How about we get Kana to play Yu-Gi-Oh, but worse? Wow, that sounds like a great idea. We need to get that furry action in there too. Turn Gajil into a cat. Why not?
Why are you saying these negative things now? Well, you're just like, I can understand why people don't like this moment, but I liked it. And it's iconic.
He doesn't like this, so... Because he doesn't like it. Wow, look how trash.
So I can't even say anything other than I kind of like the designs.
Throw that on the leftover ideas pile. I'm sure it's...
Wow, why are you speaking like Nux?
Elfman wins by using his own sweat? You already know that's approved. A few more uninteresting, straightforward fights later, bam, boom, it's done. Move on. There's no reason to watch this shit. Not even terrible, just boring. The only really good moment that happened between the Magic Games and Sun Village arc was episode 220. At first, I thought it was going to be another filler episode about Juvia pining for Grey, but as I looked into it after finishing, I found it was actually manga canon, and that made sense with how serious and, well, good it was. Juvia wants to give Grey a present for a random day after they met, so she goes around asking and decides to knit him a scarf. What she doesn't know is it's also the anniversary of Ur's death, so Grey rejects it at first and throws it on the ground. Afterwards, Grey digs it back up and thanks Juvia, having come to the conclusion that a day's worth is what you make of it, and the past doesn't need to be all that dictates how you feel.
I thought he moved past the past with this. Wasn't that the whole point of the thing?
It most certainly was.
During that date. It's sweet, short, and a moment for Juvia that I really appreciated for her character. The first arc to really get back into the swing of the story is called the Sun Village arc. It's just Fairy Tail going on another job, but this time it's been assigned by one of the founding members of Fairy Tail along with Mavis named Warren. He's a dream man, enough said. He's gotten them together to try and unthaw this village of giants that's been covered in a weird form of ice magic. At the same time, a treasure hunting guild is after a sacred artifact of the village called the Eternal Flame. And Minerva is there with a demon guy from the Book of Zareth, and they're part of this new dark guild that doesn't really matter besides the fact that these two are in it. The demon guy's main talent is turning people into younger, weaker versions of themselves, and Grey outsmarts him by using the ice around the village that hurts the demon, because it was created using Demon Slayer ice magic. Urza is able to scare off Minerva with little pushback after that. Flare from Raventail also shows up to help, since the giant city is actually her home. She was raised by the giants, and her hair was gifted to her by the Eternal Flame, but she left randomly without saying goodbye, and wants to help them out, now being separated from Raventail. Grey finds a way to evaporate the ice around the Eternal Flame by channeling it through his body, and it turns out to be the dragon that helped Natsu back in Magic Games. The guy who froze the city mistook the dragon for a demon and tried to slay it. The nearly dead dragon uses the last of his power to unfreeze the rest of the village, and Flare is welcomed back into her village with open arms. Minerva also discovers her new guild has been trashed, and soon she finds herself kidnapped. This arc was mostly just a calming down sort of adventure. Really simple setup, simple execution, mostly just helping and foreshadowing for the next arc. Nothing much besides that, just another fun fairy tale adventure with the gang. And yet, how fast that joy that characters feel can be ripped from them in the blink of an eye. I'm talking about none other than the Tartarus Arc.
Look at these 6 or 7 of the best.
The baddest! Free!
Dude, this is...
It's taxing.
We only got 3 more arcs left. No more filler.
But the perfect arc. We've got the perfect
This is
arc.
a really bad video.
It's not good.
Not just because it's mostly synopsis. It's just the brushing over the bad to just accentuate the good. It's not trash. Give both perspectives and go decide for yourself.
It should have been, is Fairy Tail trash?
Yes.
You talk about why you think it's good. You talk about why other people think it's bad. And the audience can say, hey, maybe it's not.
And you're just not even doing that. You're just going good, good, good. You got a sink full of dishes. And you buying new dishes. Wash them shits. You eating cereal out of a cup, homie.
Yeah, it's hard to even think if this is gonna be a -10 when I think about it.
It is for me.
Because it's real -9 stuff. There's a lot of synopsis. He does give some analysis, but he sucks.
He sucks. It's the just covering up the bad. He's not mentioning it. It's bad. And he likes Rock City Boys.
That's all it took.
He was iconic, and it's
so many times.
And he's going. It's Fairy Tail is not trash, and he's just saying what happened in Fairy Tail.
I'm gonna say this: there's been so many times where I'm like, "Dang, this is about a 9," and then in the final
thing, home stretch.
In the final home stretch, it's just that one thing that just goes, "Oh no, it's not, sir." And Tartarus is probably going to do it because he's talking about it's a perfect arc. He's going to lick the balls up and down of this trash arc.
It's a really bad arc. And then the final arc is also trash. And then the Avatar arc is also trash.
There's nothing but trash left. And he's saying, my top 3 arc.
Atlas, Tartarus, and the Grand Magic Game.
The definitive worst arc is shown in history. Alright, we're out of here.
Oh boy.